actively disagreed sometimes.
Well, it was terrible, but one of the things we could have like start to see the common ground is like we wanted woods and we wanted it to be warm and we wanted hardwood floors and you know those types of things were then some common ground, so at least we could meet in the middle,
Yeah.
which I thought was really helpful as far as starting a dialogue. And then once we started to figure out what is our dream house, which we you kind of fantasize, but then you start seeing what's available and you're like, well, that's not in our price range, or that's too big, or that's the wrong style, or there's no yard, or scary neighborhood, or I mean, because we experienced all of that. And then all of a sudden, it seems to almost be one of these things I'll dare call fate, where we stumbled on the house, which for both of us, I think it's fair to say, became our dream house. It was picturesque from the street. So, it's one of these places where you want to come home. You're proud of where you're coming home to. Just beautiful once you walk in, and it was spacious, airy, light. Turn of the century, like the place is built 1900s, and the craftsmanship is phenomenal.
Did you want an old home?
No, of course I didn't want an old home. But
I wanted an old home.
But it was one of these things where you start to I had to give up. I had to give up that, but it's the juxtaposition. It's like if I'm not going to have the modernist thing that I've created or that someone else created that's awesome, mid-century modern or this glass cube, then let it be something that somebody mastered 100 years ago, and is part of an era when there was attention to detail. Everything was built by hand with care, and you go into these places just rich with history and rich with attention to detail and all of the craftsmanship that went into these things and the thought that went into these things. And then you realize that it's almost becomes a responsibility. Like you take on this old home and it's about passing it on to the next generation, because it could be a 200-year home. And so it's like a baton was handed to us, or a torch. And now it's a real honor to be able to take on an old home and make it what it was when it was first built. So it's exciting. It's an exciting endeavor.
So what details of a house are you most passionate about while we're going on our house search?
Details on the house for me were, it had to be about the plan. Otherwise, I was going to tear the plan up and redo it, right?
It could still happen.
But if the plan didn't work, if it didn't have good flow, if the spaces weren't nice proportioned, if they weren't good, I mean, that place just doesn't feel right. And that for me was key. That was really key. And you?
I feel like the things that I cared the most about were, a layout that we could live in as a family, where I could always see our daughter, and where I could, cook and have family around and have it be kind of an intimate setting. But I wanted that feeling of intimacy, not claustrophobia. So I definitely wanted it to be open in spaces, and I wanted there to be areas where you could go if you wanted to be private and not have people around. And also, I didn't want it to be so big that, well, yeah, I just wanted it to feel right. I wanted to get this feeling that it was, like I didn't want it to feel cold. Like I wanted it to feel like families could come before us and live there and made their lives there, so we could make ours.
And I think that the little underlying tone is warm, and because modern architecture can be so cold.
It can be cold. It can be cool, but it can be really cold. Like
cool but cold.
Yeah, cool but cold. I mean, it can be great to look at, but to live in, not always. A concrete floor is not always what you want to be sitting on and playing games with your kids. And I think he likes big windows and open windows, and me sometimes too many windows that are open can be overwhelming because your neighbors can see you.
Right. Well, the next one is deal breakers.
Dream home.
Dream home.
Describe your dream home.
I thought we were.
Well, maybe we found
it. Dream home.
Before finding our home.
No, I know, but still,
what would be your dream home?
Dream home was expansive glass, great views, trees, trees everywhere. And then open spaces, just spaces that flow into one another, I think is, for me, that's my dream home. Yours?
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that is like my dream vacation home, and I feel like my dream home would be like, I don't know, this like beautiful like estate